Welcome to the Sewing Sanctuary, Isle of Wight. I'm Sue Pilsworth from the Sewing Sanctuary, helping you to work your magic with fabric. I hope to encourage you by making a drawstring bag. Great for popping presents in, no more need for wrapping paper, and the beauty is they can be used many times for gifts and of course a handy storage solution. So take out your sewing machine, thread up, and let's get creative. In this second instructional video, we shall be building on the skills already learned. You will learn how to line your bag with contrasting fabric and create a boxed bottom. As a reminder, if you wish to personalise your bag with embroidery or applique, it is best to work your embellishment now before bag construction. The size of the bag is dependent on what you want to put in it, and there are 3 considerations before cutting out your fabric. You must add on a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance, 10 centimetres extra at the top, and cut out both pieces of fabric exactly the same so that your lining and your main body are identical. We are aiming to sew our plain pressed open seams 1.5 centimetres in from the raw edge, sewing an accurate and straight line. So I'm going to work a seam 1.5 centimetres from the raw edges down both long sides. I'm going to do that by actually remembering to do a reverse sew at the beginning and at the end, and then I will start at the top and then I'm sure to accurate. Okay, and I will ultimately be wanting to press those seams open. So in order to do that, my first job is to finger press them open like I did with the French seams. Finger pressing them just really helps to get that iron in there. Okay, both sides, and then give it a little press. So we're going to do exactly the same on the lining, except right sides together, except on this one I'm going to sew, I'm going to use the blue thread, it'll matter not at this stage. One seam is going to be sewn all the way down from the top to the bottom. The second seam is going to be sewn, but I'm going to leave a gap in the middle of about 3 inches. Sorry, I should say about 10 centimetres. Okay, so I've got to just a third of the way down, and I'm just going to secure that, move it down about 10 centimetres, and this is the bit that I'm going to use. This is the section where you will be turning the whole thing, debagging it inside out, or right side outermost, in a minute. So again, finger press those open. You can see how quick this becomes. It's a really quick way of doing your bag. I'm just going to take it, press it. So I'm pressing left-handed for the purpose of the video. Not often I do that because I'm actually right-handed. Get the point of that iron in there, and the same with my lining. Now, I want to create a bit of a boxy bag, and it's at this stage that I should attempt that. And it's fairly simple to do, but you do have to be slightly accurate in your stitching, as with most things. So let's have a little look. So there's my fold, and there's my seam, and there's my seam. If I hold on to that seam, and you see where that folded line is, if I open it up so that the seam sits directly in the centre of that, I think the boxy bit, I'm going to say that I'll box it out about 7 centimetres, 7 or 8 centimetres, so 4 centimetres. The 4 centimetre mark is bang in the middle of that seam. Alright, so I'm just going to put a pin across there, and I'm going to put a pin there and one on the other side. Right, once you've done that and you're happy that you're going to machine across there 8 centimetres, just have a little look at the other side, because if you fold it like that and like that, and so long as those seams literally line up in the middle, you can then make sure that your bag is all nice and square and that it's boxed out so that they are equal and level. Okay, so can you see that that is going to create a little boxy bag? Okay, before I put that under the sewing machine, I am going to do the exact same thing with my lining, because I want them to be the same. So I'm going to work an 8 centimetre seam across, just measure that, a bit further up actually, and across there and across there. Check it, offer it up to the original, and then do the other side. I hope that's clear. Just take your time. Now this is the bit that's got the gap in it, and it's needed to turn, but there's my gap, it's down here, look. So it's not going to interfere with that process at all. Okay, so my next 4 lines of stitching, in actual fact, and I can do it all in the same colour, is going to be across there. Now remember, move your pins before you get to them. Reverse sewing, I'm just going to turn that down a little bit. I like to keep my seams open, so don't catch them folded over. Just take your time so that that seam then, reverse sew, keeps that seam open. Try not to catch that going over, because it actually is unsightly and bulky. Double check that I'm right with that. I think so. Now think about this type of bag could be made for a bottle bag quite easily. Just have to to make it a bit longer. So if you've bought somebody a special bottle of champagne or whatever, really, you could make them a little bag to put it in. And how lovely would that be? Tidy it up, like to keep it nice and tidy. And there we have it. Now, you have choices. We've got little beards there, little ears, sorry. You have choices. I think I'm going to slice them off. I'm going to create a centimetre seam allowance, chop that off, and chop that off. Right, so the same on the lining. Needle down, off we go. Remember, reverse sew, just get into the habit. Seam open, reverse sew. Trim that off to 1 centimetre, seam allowance, get rid of my thread ends. Last one. Right, now for the fun bit. Trim that off. Thread ends. Off we go. There we have it. Now, with the the outer edged one, turn it right side outermost. Okay, and let's have a little look. Oh, it's going to be good. Okay, we've got some nice little neat corners there and there. So we've got, that could hold a bottle of, well, a very thin bottle of wine or bottle of olive oil, something like that. Who knows? Right, now, with that like that, you are now going to pop it inside the lining one. And you are now going to match up those top edges. Now this is where your accuracy comes into play, because if you haven't accurately sewn your seams or accurately cut the whole thing out, one of these bits could be ending up being bigger than the other. And if that happens, you're going to have a little bit of a problem. And so we're pretty good at that. I just like to tidy that as I go. I'm going to put a pin on my seam that side, pin on my seam that side, making sure that I'm joining up, and then I am going to machine all the way around on the 1.5 centimetre line, all the way around that top edge. Okay, there we go. Just holding it carefully as I go. And as I get to my seam, I'm making sure that they are, the seam allowances are nice and tidy. Okay. Got a little bit of excess fabric there on the pink, but not to worry, I am literally just going to fold that under. And there we have it, like that. Okay. Next, get in through the hole that you left, the gap, and you're now going to pull it apart. Those seams matching. Then I'm going to poke the lining down into there, which creates a really lush really very nice, very neat. Put it back. Now, top tip. I'm going to turn it the other way for a minute, and look, there's my gap. Something that you can do now at this stage, which will be very, very useful. If you put your hand inside there and feel your way through to this, the opposite side, to that side seam, and grab hold of it along with the lining and the outer fabric. So you grabbed the inside seam, the two seams, you can butt those together like that and then just run a straight line of machining. What is that? Why am I doing this? Well, it's that simple. It stops the lining from pulling out when you're trying to grab something out of the little bag. You don't want it all to come apart. Then look for the other seam that you've done. Oh, there it is. Just gonna put those two together. Just check that I've not caught anything unnecessarily. And there we have it. So that lining is now attached at the bottom inside by those seams, and it is not going to come apart. This gap, if you then hold on to that like that, put a couple of pins. Now try not to capture the right side of the fabric in there. We're just closing up the hole in the pink. All right, make sure you haven't accidentally caught that. Now you have choices. There's always choices. Whoopsie. The choice is that you can machine that with a pink. With a pink. And that will then close up the gap. So just quickly, it is worth doing. Don't think, oh, I can't be bothered, and I'll just use, and also change the lower thread. And the reason for that is because you'll have blue on one side. Now of course if you did the same or similar coloured lining, but it literally takes seconds. So I am going to do a straight line of machining to close the gap. Here we go. Now you could make shoe bags. I used to have shoe bags like this as a child. I can even remember being a child. Okay, right, so there we have it. That's all closed up, that's all neat and tidy. Turn it to the right side. So now I'm creating the channel that the drawstring will run through, and the first thing I do is I am going to machine a 2 centimetre section right in the centre there. Then I'm going to leave two centimetre gaps either side. This will become crystal clear in a minute. A couple of reverse stitches, and my aim is to sew right on the very edge. In order to prevent it from rocking up under the needle, if you pull front and back to create like a strong framework, then that helps the stitches to drop into place. We'll get to the end of that pin. Remove the pin before you get to it, and reverse sew. Okay. Trim off your thread ends, just like before, and then I will show you how that actually looks. So we have sewn this top edge down all the way around, leaving two little 2 centimetre gaps there and there, and the reason for that will become clear now. My cord, or my drawstring, I've made sure that it is long enough, plus an added extra bit, and then there's one gap there, and then there's one gap there. So you're going to go through the right hand gap and go left, and then you're going to go all the way around, gently teasing it round. And then you're going to come through the second hole that you made. So thread the cord through, so that when you come to pull your drawstring, you pull outwards like that, and it creates a little drawstring bag. Okay? Now, you can, on the edges, make sure that those line up, and then on the rear side of here, you could put a little stitch to prevent it from coming out. The reason, the way I'm going to do that is just do a neat little line, forward and back, and then trim off those threadings. That will make sure that the cord cannot be pulled out accidentally. You can put little beads on the bottom of there, or just leave it. It's entirely up to you. Alright? So that's the second type of drawstring bag. Thank you for watching the Sewing Sanctuary video. It was filmed from my sewing room on the Isle of Wight. If you have any questions or queries, you may phone or email me at any time. Happy sewing!